All right. Is my screen visible to you all, please? Can somebody please reply?
Yes.
All right, awesome.
Yes,
Thanks
yes,
a
yes.
lot. All right, thanks a lot. Rita, I think you can start recording the meeting now because we are
Yeah,
going
yeah,
to
done.
get started. All right, sure. So it's officially 4:36 p.m. Indian Standard Time, and we are going to start with today's event, which is Flutter Festival. The reason why we are having this event today is for Flutter Festival, and I think we gave an information and a complete information of what the Flutter Festival is all about in our WhatsApp groups, and you got to know that it's a 5-day hands-on workshop program during which you will learn cross-platform application development using Flutter and Firebase and the Google Cloud platform. So I would like to start by introducing myself for those of you who don't know me. My name is Francois Agonuti Touré. I am a final semester BSc in robotics student at Shada University, Greater Noida, of course. And I'm the current Google Developer Students Club lead on our campus at Shada University for this 2021-2022 school year. So I'm the lead, but I'm not the facilitator of this program. However, I'm going to be the one walking you through uh, the Flutter Festival induction session today, which is just an info session. And we will be sharing everything with you and also getting started with some of the installations that you guys have to do before tomorrow's workshop, basically. So without further ado, I would like to introduce, okay, I'm not going to introduce him, the facilitator of the Flutter Festival under the Google Developer Students Club lead at Shada University is Tejasvi Arora. He's our core team member and tech lead for user interface and user experience. So Tejasvi, if you are there, you can just unmute yourself. Please turn on your video and introduce yourself to the audience. Thank you.
Can you guys see me? Sorry, the light is not good enough to be earlier.
Yes.
Hi, people. Hi, everyone. So, hi, guys. I'm the Flutter facilitator for this year. I also am the core team member and the UI UX lead for this year's Google Developer Student Club. I've been doing designing for the past now a year now. I have worked with multiple startups. Okay, hi everyone. So I am the core team member and the UI UX lead for the Google Developer Student Club. I am being the Flutter facilitator for this year also. So in this event, we will be talking about this Flutter technology. How can you use it and make applications? We will be talking about Flutter in depth in a further seminar. Also, please stay tuned with us. This is going to be a good ride. Network with people and happy learning. Thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot, Tejasvi, for briefly introducing yourself to the student developers on our campus. So I'm going to proceed forward. I'll be sharing my screen. I think there is already a video that we shared in the group, right? Whereby you have to scan a QR code and it will take you directly to the URL of our official website, which is this one that you have right here, right? So it's GDSC, that stands for Google Developer Students Clubs.community.dev/Shada University, Greater Noida, right? So this is the official website, and anything related to the GDSC on our campus is actually here on this website. And if you also want to join the GDSC, Shada University, you just have to come here on the website. And if you've never joined before, it will, I have to admit someone. If you have never joined before, it will tell you to join the chapter. I'm already a member of it, so it's just going to ask me to leave the chapter if I want to. So you will see the about, and these are some of the upcoming events that we have so far. And yeah, you're going to see them. And this is something that I also explained a little bit in the video that I shared in the groups, right? So Flutter Festival is going to be a 5-day hands-on workshop event, right, or program through which you will dive into the world of cross-platform application development using Flutter, which is a powerful tool that allows you to write a single code base through which you can generate an Android application, an iOS application. You can also generate a website or even desktop applications that are compatible with Windows, Linux, and also macOS, right? Those are things that you're going to see a little bit later in this session today. So today we just have like an introduction session, and then you just have to join us for this induction session in the world of cross-application development using powerful Google technologies such as Flutter, Firebase, Google Cloud, and yeah, we were really hoping to see you at the event, and thankfully you guys are here. So if you also want to get to know, if you want to RSVP, that stands for reserve your place, okay, for the next events, you just have to come here on our official website. And for example, this one this is the one of tomorrow, March 26, 2022. And you just have to click on view details, and it will take you to the next page where it asks you to click on RSVP, that stands for reserve your place, basically. So yeah, now these are some of the past events that we have so far. This one is related to the 2022 Annual Solution Challenge by Google developers in association with the United Nations. And we've had programs also related to Android 30 jams, right? And we've been conducting a lot of things. Okay.
Can you guys please give me contextually what sort of work do you all guys do? Like in which year you are and what sort of technology do you use right now? If you code, in what language do you?
All blue. So welcome to the blue world of mobile application development, cross-platform mobile application development, basically. So this is the PPT that we have, and we are going to be going through this during this event today. And yeah, this is, we will be sharing also the, let me do it right now, the drive link to this PPT, because everything is actually here, and we will need you to go through it a little bit later and try to, to do what you guys have to do, basically. So here you have the link to the drive link to this PPT, right? Which is the official PPT that we're going to be using today in this meeting. Is my screen still visible? Yeah. So this is the official PPT, and it's all about Flutter Festival, right? And it's organized by the Google Developer Students Club at Chada University, and it's all for GDSC communities all across India, basically. So next, so we are going to talk about Flutter Festivals and what it actually is, right? So you get to build beautiful applications with Google technology. So what is Flutter Festival? Flutter Festivals is a community-led event series where developers can join to learn the fundamentals of Google technologies, featuring Flutter, Firebase, and Google Cloud content. So these are the four main things that you're going to be learning in this program. And when you complete them, these are also skills that are actually required in most industries, and it's going to be making your industry ready. So the next thing we will be talking about is this very little thing, the Google Developer Students Club Solution Challenge, which is an annual global competition that is organized by Google developers in collaboration with the United Nations, during which student developers across all GDSCs in the world are asked to come up with innovative ideas and compete at this annual solution challenge, where they get to solve for one or more of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals by the United Nations, basically. So I'm going to be clicking on this link, and it will open the official, right? You guys have the PPT already, so later you can go through it, right? So here is what the solution challenge is actually about, and you can submit your solution maybe through this Flutter Festival. If you build an app that is strong enough, there is a message in the chat box, I guess. If you are, can you allow us to download it if you don't? Yeah, I think it's yeah, it's pretty much possible. It's pretty much possible. Just give me a second. All right, I will do this later after the meeting because we don't want to get outside of the scope of this meeting. Is it Abdul or? Yeah, Abdullah, we will. Yeah, I'll be allowing you to download it if it's possible. Just give me some time right after the meeting because we have 1.5 hours, and I don't want to keep you guys here for long, right? Jesus. All right, people are joining, so it's not the fault I have to be switching between the windows, basically. So what is the 2022 Solution Challenge? So the mission of the 2022 Solution Challenge is to solve for one or more of the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals using Google technology. That's basically what it is. So during this Flutter Festival, if you get to build an app that solves problems that maybe needy communities are facing, or you come up with an idea, you can go ahead and submit your idea before March 31st, 2022, basically. And these are like some of the rewards that they're going to get if your idea or if your team is able to make it to the top 50 teams. You will win a T-shirt from Google, a certificate of participation in this 2022 Annual Solution Challenge, and you will also get some mentorship from Googlers and other experts to improve and submit a solution for the top prize, right? And if you make it to the top 10 finalists, well, each member like they will win. There is a win of $1,000 cash prize per team member. So if in the team there are 2 people, so they are all going to receive like 1,000. So it's going to be like $2,000, which is about, I think, more than 2 lakhs Indian rupees, right? And if your team is able to make it to the top 3, which is the global one, and it's kind of a little bit competitive. So you're also going to get like each member is going to get these $3,000, right? I have to admit someone again. Great. So if your team makes it to the top 3 winners, right, of this annual solution challenge by Google developers, like there is a win of $3,000 cash prize per team member, and a swag and a certificate of participation, and also mentorship from Google, and a feature in the Google developers blog and demo day live stream, which like they organize annually each year, and then you're gonna be seeing all over the world on YouTube, basically. So this is what the annual solution challenge is about, and I really encourage you all to be dedicated and to be dynamic and energized during this Flutter Festival program. If you're able to build something very quick, you can submit. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? You can just submit. At least participating, you will get a certificate of participation, and that's actually something you can add onto your resume, or you can show anywhere to say that, yeah, you are a student developer who came up with an idea and you submitted it at this annual solution challenge by Google developers. And if luckily you are able to make it to the top 10 or the top 3, just imagine about everything that you're going to get, as a reward, basically. So that's what the solution challenge is about. If you want to read more about it, I'll be pasting the link here in the chat box. But it's going to be in the PPT, actually. When you're in the PPT, you just have to click on this solution challenge. It's actually a link, and it will take you there, right? So we do encourage, present it. So we do encourage students to participate in the solution challenge, right? So for Google Developer Students Clubs that are already participate in solution challenge, we encourage you to use the Flutter Festival resources. So all the resources that you're going to use here, those are the things that they need at the annual solution challenge, basically, right? Because you will have to build an app using Flutter, probably, and you will use Firebase, for the back end and also for the database, and you're going to use the Google Cloud platform to integrate many other stuff, okay? So any student can join Solution Challenge, right? To join, you just need to be part of GDSC. And I hope you all can just go through our official website and join the Google Developer Students Clubs on our campus at Shada University, because that's what we have. Other universities have not been lucky enough to have a Google Developer Students Club on their campus. So this is an opportunity that you have. If you have time, go through the official website and join it. And if you have any idea, submit it. And we wish you all the best. Okay. Now, this one is basically for me. So now, during this Flutter Festival, there is this thing that we call OSS, right? That stands for Open Source Software. So it's all about open source software contribution. Okay. So now Flutter is open source actually. When you go on GitHub, I think many of you know what GitHub is, and I mean not even many of you, all of you probably know what GitHub is. So when you go on GitHub, you're gonna see the Flutter like a lot of repositories, right? And also the Flutter organization. So it's fully open source. You can use it and do whatever you want to do with it. And you can also contribute, right? So during this Flutter Festival, you also get the opportunity to contribute to Dev Library. So contributing your Flutter open source project or articles to Dev Library, right? So now here are some of the steps that you have to follow to submit. So you have to navigate to the official website and click the button to access the advocacy form. Now, the note is that you have to make a submission to the Dev Library, and you need to add GDSC and then the chapter name. So it's going to be like GDSC Shada University. So if you have any amazing idea, if you are very good in software, in coding, in programming, or whatever it is, whatever your contribution is, it can even be documentation, just maybe correcting something on the official Flutter website where there is maybe, let's say, a grammatical or a typo mistake. you can correct it and submit your pull request. You're gonna get like a contribution to the Flutter Dev library. I mean, like it's pretty much possible. But just make sure when you're doing it through this Dev library, you mention the name of the GDSC chapter that you come from, which in our case is Google Developers Club -- Shada University, right? From Flutter Festival in comments, blah, blah, blah. So now for the evaluation, will be done, right, with respect to various parameters: freshness of the content, a compliance with the tech version, the language, and understanding of the topic, right? So now what is the recognition that you can get? If your contribution to the Dev library is selected, you are entitled to GDSC swags and Dev library top contributor prizes, right? Sorry. So you're gonna get some prize if your contribution gets selected, if your contribution to the Flutter Dev library gets selected. Now for the timeline, it's still the same thing. So you can submit something. If you have any amazing idea right now that you think you want to submit, someone is trying to join. Yeah. So if you have any amazing idea right now that you think you want to submit, you can just go through the website. I can probably do it here with you guys, but I think there is a drive link of this PPT in the chat box, which you guys can just get. And I think it's pretty much possible for you guys to click on the links there, and maybe it's possible to download. If not, I'll try to share this PPT with you all later on, maybe in the group, or yeah, we will try to share a Google form so we can collect your email IDs and we can send it to your personal email IDs too. So to contribute to this one, you just have to go to this website by clicking on site, and it will, I have to close this one. It will take you to, the Dev library, okay, of Flutter. So you get here Android and Angular. These are, awesome or powerful Google technologies that you can use to, to build awesome stuff, right? And you get Flutter here, which is an open source UI, that stands for User Interface Toolkit, that makes it easy and fast to build beautiful mobile applications. Flutter apps run natively on iOS and Android and powered by the direct language. This is the beauty of Flutter, right? Unlike Android or unlike any other stuff, whereby you have to write, a single code base to generate an Android application, and a single code base to generate like an iOS application. And if you also need a website for that, you have to write another code base again. Flutter does not do that, right? It gives you one code base out of which you can get Android, iOS, a website, and also desktop applications. This is what the beauty of Flutter is, right? So you guys can go through this. Welcome to Dev Library. It's okay as an open source project and blog post built to Google Technologies, created by you, curated by Google engineers. So if you have anything to submit, you can just go through the website, and maybe when you guys start with this Flutter Festival, with learning everything that we're going to give you, because we are not going to be teaching everything, but we will give you the material. So if you have any awesome idea, you can come here onto this website and try to submit your idea there. So I just pasted the link of this one in the chat box, I guess. And now next, after this one, I think this one you're going to read it through the PPT, right? And now for the content evaluation guidelines, these are some details related to your contribution to the Dev library, basically, and you're gonna read it through the PPT that we will share with you. Okay. All right. So a few more pointers to check. Okay. So first of all, a few pointers to keep in mind before sending across the open source repository or blog are: you need to enforce code formatting for Dart and Flutter. These are things you're going to get to know later when you start working with it. So I'm just gonna skip this one. So now let's get in today's topic. What is Flutter? Someone is joining. I have to admit the person again. Right. Great. So now let's get into today's topic, or one of today's topics. What is Flutter? Right. So Flutter is Google's portable user interface toolkit for building beautiful multi-platform applications, right? As you guys can see here, we have, I guess, this is a tab, this is, I guess, an Android phone, and this is an iOS, and this is an iPad and stuff like that. So, you have all these devices that you can build a single code base and deploy them and generate an app for all of them, or even generate like a website or desktop applications also. So that's what Flutter is, in short. Now, what Flutter does, the key difference between Flutter and the other ones, right? Here it is. So this image shows that you are developing a native application for each device and maintain several projects, right? You can see that it's a lot more complicated for you to reach at the at the endpoint. Have to go through this, through this, through that. I mean, it's just a little bit complicated, right? So you write a native app for each device. So which means if there is an Android device, you have to write the code for Android. If there is iOS, you have to write the code for iOS. If it's a website, you have to write the code. That's just a lot of work, right? And the beauty of Flutter is that it allows you to write just one code base and get all those apps, native apps, and cross-platform apps out of that single code base. So now the beauty of Flutter is here, where you just go straight into your direction without having to maintain several projects. So you use a unique framework, which is Flutter. You can get these things like PhoneGap or Adobe Area or App Accelerator and maintain only one project. So you don't have to go through, this hectic life of maintaining several projects, right? You just have one and you do what you have to do it. Just awesome. Now, it's still Google's portable UI toolkit for building beautiful multi-platform applications. So with support for iOS, I think I spoke about this already, Android, web, Windows desktop applications, macOS desktop applications, Linux, and also even embedded systems from just a single code base. Not many code bases, but just a single code base. You get an app for all of these platforms. But if it's the other languages, you have to write one code base for iOS, for this, which is time-consuming and hectic. So now everything in Flutter is a widget. When you start learning Flutter, from today or tomorrow, I don't know, depending on your time, you'll get to understand that everything in Flutter is a widget, right? So you get this framework. The framework is actually in a language that is called Dart, the Dart language. And if any of you here has been using any other development platform or frameworks before, such as Angular or Ionic or maybe React, you would get a little bit familiar with it because they have the same, let's say, architecture. Anyway, everything is a little bit different, right? So you get material, Cupertino, widgets, and animation, painting, gesture, and foundation. You have a lot. And now the engine is built on C++, right? You have Dart and text and this SQL scale. So Flutter's foundation and pillars, at its core, Flutter is built to be fast, productive, beautiful, open, and portable. This is what Flutter is built for. It's built to be fast. You just do everything very fast because you write one single code base for many platforms. You become productive because you only manage one single code base. It's just beauty. It's beautiful, to be honest. And it's open for open source for everyone, and it's portable. You can take it anywhere you want to go to. So for fast, it takes the speed limiter of your app, right? This is one of the beauties of Flutter. And for the productive part, you develop while your app is running. So when we get into it right now, you will see that while you are developing, you're having this interface where you write your code, and you also have a simulator, which is a virtual Android device or a virtual iOS device where you can simulate the app that you're building, so you can see how your app is going to look like when you're working on it. And now the beauty of it is that you don't have no compromises for your designers, right? And open, because it's open source, and I think I spoke about this already. Like basically when you go on GitHub and just type Flutter, you'll see the Flutter organization and then /Flutter for the Flutter repository. Anyone can contribute. If you have any awesome idea which is going to be really beneficial and amazing for Flutter users all around the world, you can come and fork the code base and try to create a new branch and also do your contribution the way you want to. That's another field. I mean, Git and GitHub and open source contribution. And those are things we also do at the Google Developer Students Club on our campus, if you want to get into that one too. Now, we spoke about Flutter, And Flutter, as it said, Flutter is a UI toolkit. UI means user interface. So it's what you see, what the user sees. That's what Flutter does. So you get to build the app pages, the screens, the buttons, and so on and so forth, right? Now, what is going to handle the back end? Because in the field of development, whether it's web development or app development, we have these two. Someone is joining again. We have these two key things. Okay, person left. We have these two key things, right? The first one is that basically you have the front end part, which is called the UI, and the back end that helps you communicate with servers, with the database, and so on and so forth, right? So that's what Firebase does. Okay, that's what Firebase does. Firebase helps you just handle the backend part or the backend infrastructure of your app, right? And it makes the development process faster and easier for you because you don't have to get into this what they call full stack developer, whereby you have to get to know what front end development is and what back end development is. I mean, with this one, you use Flutter, that is pretty much easier and that has all the benefits that we spoke about before to build your user interface, and you use Firebase to build the back end. So now let's talk about what Firebase is. So first of all, you get to build. It accelerates app development with fully managed backend infrastructure based on Google servers. So you can think of how awesome, powerful, and secure it is, right? So you get this Cloud Firestore and also authentication. Let's say you are building a login page. So when the person, or like a sign up page, the person will sign up. So it will try to retrieve that data from your Firebase or Firestore backend and verify if that user is in your database, then it will grant access to the user to log into the application. So you can easily do that using Firebase. So it also helps you to release with confidence and monitor. It releases with confidence and monitor performance and stability, right? So you get when there are crashes in your app, and then you also have this Google Analytics, which sort of, let's just say, analyzes your app and gives you feedbacks, whether there is something wrong or there is something that may compromise your application in the long run. Now for Engage, so it will just, it sort of boosts user engagement with rich analytics, right? A/B testing, if you've ever heard about, testing before, Firebase handles all of these things, right? Such as like remote configuration and also like cloud messaging. Awesome. So if you want to learn more about Firebase, you just have to go to firebase.google.com. But there are awesome resources here in this PPT, and just make sure you go through them and start your learning from today. So now the next thing that we have on our list today is Google Cloud, because we said we were going to get into Flutter, which handles the user interface, what the user sees, and Firebase that handles the back end, and we have our Google Cloud platform. So it's all about everything you need to build and scale your application. It's much more easier to maintain an application that is hosted on a cloud, like in a cloud environment, sorry, not on, in a cloud environment, basically. Because if it is locally on your machine, what happens is that the more apps and the more software you download on your machine, the more libraries and dependencies those apps or softwares are going to need, right? And it may end up compromising the app that you are developing on your local machine. So it's always preferable to start the development of your application in a cloud environment, which is a virtual environment, which is not basically your host machine. It's a virtual environment which is on someone else's server, like Google server, and they sort of get to manage everything for you, and you don't have to do anything, right? So you have Compute Engine, like this is all about virtual machines running in Google's data center, right? So you can get like a virtual machine, and then you're gonna be working with it through a command line terminal, basically. And you also get access to a cloud storage through through which you have some object storage that is secure, durable, and scalable. You also have the Cloud SDK, that stands for Cloud Software Development Kit. And this is something you're going to see a lot in this Flutter Festival, software development kit, right? So these are just like command line tools and libraries for Google Cloud, basically. You have the Cloud SQL related to database. You have also the Kubernetes, the BigQuery, blah, 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 all these things. You're going to go through it all by yourself. Now, what are the contents that we're going to use during this festival? So the key resources that we have are like Flutter, Firebase, and Google Cloud, the three, right? And just make sure you go through the PPT. I'll try to, what can I do? Copy link address. Maybe I can try to paste them here in case you guys need them. Yeah, in case you guys need them instantly. So I'm going to be pasting the URL here. But that's a lot. Not really. Okay, let me try to click on this. So, okay, we are going to go through it. So these are actually the key resources that we have, and you will have all the resources related to Flutter and Firebase and Google Cloud in the next slides. So for Flutter, so here are various resources to introduce Flutter and Darts, right? Practice Flutter skills with more advanced workshops. So you have all these workshops that you do for free. No one is going to charge any money from you. Google gave us this platform so we can learn Google technology. Whoever asks you for money, I'm the GDSC leader on our campus. Reach out to me, and I'll file a complaint against that person. It's all free. We don't take any money from anyone. We are serving student developer community, and that's what we do. Okay. So there is a welcome video, which I'm not going to play. Okay, let me just say it does not take so long. You have access to these drive links, okay, whereby you can see the welcome video and like Flutter Festival video, and you have some quests like Dart Essentials. Dart is the language of Flutter, so you're going to be using Dart a lot when developing your application, basically. And then you also have this quest, which is like Flutter Essentials, so you go through the fundamentals of Flutter through this quest. Now Flutter development, and then some workshops, and then the latest Flutter announcements, and all these things are in the PPT for you all for free. Now, next, there are some puzzles, which I guess you guys would just go through. So this should be a hands-on workshop. You might use the demo with source code. So let's just click here on demo. So here is a demo, and just try to launch the app. You have also the source code, and try to figure out what this puzzle is about. If you can solve it, then yeah, that's gonna be good for you, right? Now, great. Now for Dart Essentials, Dart is the secret sauce of Flutter. As I was saying, you're gonna be using Dart a lot when you are writing your Flutter applications. So this is a workshop series to learn the fundamentals of Dart programming language, right? So you're gonna have access to this one, and you will lose free access to it by May 1st. So just make sure you dedicate at least two hours or 3 hours of this weekend. We are not going to school on Saturday and Sunday, and just go through everything and grab everything, right? Yeah. So for Flutter Essential also, you get like Flutter Quick Start, build a 2-screen Flutter application, which is amazing. You're gonna see how you build the application, and you will also be working with on-screen data in Flutter application, implementing page navigation in the Flutter application, and so on and so forth. So this one also, you will lose free access to it until by May 1st. So make sure you go through it during this weekend because we have time, right? And yeah, and also I'll be going through these tomorrow, like the installation and the initial parts which you need to get started with Dart and Flutter Essentials. Now for Flutter development, so we will get started with Flutter and then Flutter startup manner, and then the material components, and Flutter Web and Firebase authentication, permission, so the person can either log in or sign up, and so on and so forth, right? And it can even be like logging in using their Google, their Google Mail ID or Gmail ID. So this one also, you lose access to it by May 1st. Now for Dart workshops, you have a lot of workshops here. So you can build scrolling experiences in Flutter. You have the workshop, you just have to click on it, and you'll have an example session. So it's pretty much easier, right? Now for the null safety in action, how to manage application states using inherited widget and so on. You have the materials here. Now it's up to you to use it for for the best, right? Now, if you wanna get to know Firebase for Flutter, you can you can go through the example session first, then you can come to the workshop and you can learn it on your own. I mean, you don't need us a lot. We'll just be hosting these 90 minutes meeting to walk you through a few stuff, right? So by tomorrow, we will be helping you all with the installation of Flutter, installation of like Android Studio, which is the preferred environment where people are required to be writing the Flutter code, so doing whatever they have to do. I'm going to be demonstrating one in today's meeting. So yeah, just tune in. Now, building your first Flutter application, you can go through the example session and also the workshop. I mean, you have a lot, right? Now, you also have these latest Flutter announcements. So you can go through the top 7 things to know about Flutter. Google I/O. Google I/O, it's like Google Input Output. It's an annual conference that Google hosts, and this year I think it was online due to the unprecedented time of COVID. I mean, the situation was sort of unpredictable, right? So they didn't want to host it physically, but it is always physically. Now they had it virtually this year because of COVID, because of the pandemic. So you can also go through the top 10 things to know about Flutter Engage 2021 and what's new in Flutter Docs. You have one of the most important things is that when you're working with something, always make sure you go through the official documentations, right? So if you wanna get to know what's the content of the official documentation of Flutter, you can just go through this link. And then yeah, for the roadmap, you can click on this one. It's really gonna be helpful for you. Now for the case study, so we have these resources, and then it's all about why we think Flutter will help us scale mobile application, blah, blah, blah. There are case studies that people conducted on Flutter. You can read them to get to know the power of Flutter, basically. So now for Firebase, you have these code labs. So these are some hands-on code labs or pathways to learn Flutter for Firebase for Flutter, right? So you have get to know Firebase for Flutter. You can go through this code lab, and I think it's not going to take that much of your time. Just make sure you go through it. And multi-platform Firestore, Flutter, and so on and so forth. If you're able to build whatever the app is or whatever your idea is by May 31st, I really encourage you all to submit it for the annual solution challenge, because we never know. Maybe you can make it to the top 3. You're going to win those $3,000 and also, the awesome opportunities that comes with it. Yeah. So for Google Cloud, you also have these ones that you can go through. So the topics in this workshop, we have a tour of Google Cloud and how you can create a Linux virtual machine in the Google Cloud platform, how you can create a Windows virtual machine in the Google Cloud platform, and also how you can get started with Cloud Shell. So this is what this workshop is about, and I encourage you all to go through it. And tomorrow I'm going to be going through them also to help you guys get started. And yeah, I really wish you all happy learning ahead. So you will have also free access until May 1st. Just have 5 days. The weekend is free, no class. So yeah, we can go through it. So thank you. And we can't wait to see what you will create. If you have any questions, you can send an email to our official email, which is dsc.sharda.uni@gmail.com. We are going to be glad to help if you have any questions. I think that was it. Before I move forward, I would like to know if there is any question from anyone in the audience before moving forward. Do you guys have any questions, please? All right. I get it. I mean, like we get to understand it, right? Not everyone is comfortable unmuting the microphone and getting to speak. So if you have any question and you would like to ask the question, you can drop it in the chat box. We will be with you, or one of the core team members is going to reply. Okay. So now the next thing is that I'm going to walk you guys through the installation of Flutter, because I need us to do it today. We still have about 30 minutes left. I'll walk you through it, and we will get probably to create our first, a very, very basic Flutter application. I mean, just to see how it works, right? How to create a Flutter project, and how also you can have access to the emulator, which is going to show you what your app is going to look like while you're developing it, basically. So before continuing, I think I'll have to let my core team members introduce themselves and tell you what they can do for you, and tell you if you need anything in their fields of competency, you can reach out to them. They are really going to be able to help you guys. So I think I'm going to be calling them one by one. Harshit is here. He's the head coordinator of the Google Developer Students Club lead at Shada University. Harshit, if you are there, you can unmute yourself and introduce yourself to our audience, please. He's not there for now. Abdullah, I guess, was here. Okay. Tejas, you already spoke. Ritia, are you there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Please go ahead. All right. I think we just have to carry on with some of the things that we have to do. So this was it about the PPT that we had. Now, let's move on to Flutter Dev, which is the official website of Flutter, right? So when you go to the official website, what you have to do is to go through the documentation. Okay, so you can see it says build apps for any screen, whether the screen is an Android screen or iOS or a web screen or a desktop screen. I mean, you can just build one single code base and do what you have to do with it. So this is the official website, and it's all powered by Google Technologies, right? So the next thing you do, as I was saying, you have to come here on the docs, right? The official documentation of Flutter, and you need to click on what's new, blah, blah, blah. You can read these things later. But the first thing you have to do is to click on Install Flutter, okay? So we are going to click here on Install Flutter. Now, this is the installation page of Flutter, okay? I think I have to drop the official website here, but it's not that difficult. It's like Flutter.dev for development, okay? It's already in the chat box. So you have all these platforms, like how you can install it on a Windows machine, on a Mac OS machine, on a Linux, or even on a Chrome OS, like on a Chromebook, okay? So it all depends on the system that you have. So you get to select that the one that you have. I'm actually on a Mac, but I'm going to click on Windows first because I think most of you are on Windows. So you have to go through all these things, but I think it's kind of pretty much easier when you just read the documentation and try to install it, okay? So I'm going to go back to Mac, which is what I have. So when you come here, it's going to give you the system requirements, okay? What requirements does your system need in order for you to install and run Flutter? Your development environment must meet these minimum requirements. So your operating system, if you're on Mac, should be a Mac OS. You should have a disk space of 2.8 gigabyte, which does not include your disk space, sorry, for IDE tools. And you have these tools, you need to use Git for installation and upgrade, okay? And they do recommend Xcode, which includes Git, but you can also install Git separately if you want, right? So now, I've already gone through all these. So what I want you guys to do is just to go on installation and select your platform and go through the steps that they give, and you will see what they have there, right? But in the case of Mac, I'm just going to open the terminal here. I'm going to be having here, having it here. Okay, right. Okay, so is this font visible enough to you all?
Yeah,
it's visible.
That's good.
All right, thanks a lot. So the first thing we are going to check, okay, so the first thing we're going to check is, do we have Git installed, right? So for that, Git is actually a powerful tool, and I hope you guys have heard a lot about Git and GitHub. It's a version control tool, which is pretty much used in the field of open source contribution, right? So this is what GitHub is. GitHub is just a platform that hosts code, but using Git, so you can get to learn it in a few minutes tutorial, right? So now For me, I think I already have it installed. In order for you to check if you have Git installed, you can type Git and you can hit the tab button on your keyboard twice to see if it is there, right? Now it returns, what do I have here? Give me a sec, I need to have it here. All right, so basically, yeah, Julien. Basically, you type git and you can type your -- version and it's going to return you the Git version that you have, which is like 2.32.0, right? So these are the two ways you can verify whether you have Git installed on your laptop or not. And if you don't have Git installed on your laptop, based on what you have, if you have a Windows laptop, you just have to write git download for Windows or Mac OS or Linux or whatever it is your platform is. Okay. Now, great. Next, all right, that one is done. Now, the next thing is that when you're on Windows, you need to go and get the Flutter SDK. And I told you guys at first. Yes, please. Any question?
Yeah, I'm using MacBook, but how can I install this Git?
You just have to type, I think, Git. You can use Brew, I get. Do you have Brew?
No.
Brew. All right. Or you can just type how to install Git, how to install Git in Mac OS.
Okay.
Right? So you get a link, install Git /m blah blah blah. So you see, like for here, download
Mac OS Git.
Yeah. Okay. Just go on the internet and type how to install Git on Mac OS, and you're gonna install it, right? And if you have Brew, you can just type Brew, I guess, install Git. Okay. Because Homebrew is actually the package management of macOS, basically. So now the next thing is that you have to download this one, but I already have it installed because if I type here Flutter -- okay, I have an idea. I'll get into my Vagrant database. Yeah, now we are here, and what you need to do is to type like Flutter. If we can just type Flutter, and then you hit the tab button on your keyboard twice. Now you will see if you have Flutter installed or not. Okay, basically. But you can type Flutter, I think -v to get the version, or --version to get what it is. So you have these ones that, okay, it says Flutter create and so on and so forth, right? And Flutter run. Now I can also type, let me clear the screen and type Flutter doctor, which will check if my Flutter installation is good or not, right? So it is going to check. Yeah, pretty good. So Flutter Doctor, these are things you're going to see through the official documentation. It's not magic. It's not difficult, right? Right now, I don't have access to my iCloud, and I don't have access to my Apple Download Center, so I couldn't install Xcode. So now you see that when I did Flutter Doctor, it tells me that okay, the Android toolchain is okay, but this one is not okay. You can see this exclamation point. Yeah, great. So where were we? Yeah, you can see that this one is okay, and this is not okay. So this is something that I have to do because there is this crossing here, right? And Doctor found one issue in one category, which is one you have right here, right? That's if you want to check like what's really going on underneath the hood of your Flutter package, basically. So after downloading, you will have to normally unzip and I wanted to go through this download process with you guys. I guess we still have 30 minutes left. Okay, because I already have it installed on my laptop. So okay, like which Flutter to verify Flutter command is available by running which Flutter blah blah blah. Okay, so what I recommend you all to do, right, is to go to docs.flutter.dev. I'm going to paste the link in the chat box. Sorry, in the chat box, because I'm not gonna hold you guys for so long here. Great. So you get this one. Now go through this and just click on Windows if you have a Windows machine. If you have Linux, click on Linux, right? It will guide you through the process. It's pretty easy, right? Just take your time and read through the lines and make sure you do everything that he tells you. Otherwise, you're going to be getting errors a little bit later, okay? So on Windows, basically what you do, it's still the same system requirements. It has to be Windows 7, blah, 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 or later version of 64-bit. and then you need to have this much disk space, and then these are the tools that you have to use in the in the case of Windows. Then you have to download the Flutter SDK, that stands for the software development kit, and you have to go through all these things. You need to update your path so it can recognize it, and it will be like where Flutter Dart, and it will show you the path where your Flutter has been unzipped, for example, right? And so on, all these things. And this one is for command prompt. I mean, I'm not on Windows, and I don't know Windows that much. So you can go through it. And now make sure when you do that, you have also to install the Android Studio, right? So to install Android Studio, it will tell you to download, like all the links are here. So you don't need to come on the internet and type download Android Studio, download this, download that, right? I mean, it already guides you through everything. So here is a hyperlink, if I may call it so. So if you click on it, it's going to take you to the official Android Studio download page. So you just have to click on download Android Studio. Make sure you install Android Studio because that's where you're gonna be working. I mean, there are some people who actually, I guess, use Visual Studio Code, but I really recommend and I really encourage you all to use Android Studio for this one. I mean, yeah, it's the most recommended integrated development environment, or IDE, uh, for Flutter, or even for Android development, basically, right? So make sure you download this one, okay? By going through with the link that I sent you, you can download Android Studio, read these things and do them. So you have to set up your Android device. That's if you have like your Android device, you want to to see how your app is going to look like on Android devices. You can go through the setup, and you can also set up like the Android emulator in Android Studio, which is pretty much easy. I will show you that one very soon. And yeah, you have to agree to the licenses so it can work, because in some cases, if you don't, it will not work. I mean, your Flutter Doctor, when you run the Flutter Doctor command, it's going to return a few errors because you did not agree to the licenses. It's just like when you're going through a certain form, and what happens is that you have to check like agree to terms, right? So this is just a way of agreeing to the Flutter terms, or the terms, but in the command line. Okay, so you also have to go through the Windows setup and so on and so forth. Everything is given the steps, so there is nothing left. Okay, so how many tools do we have? The first tool is Git. The second one is Android Studio, right? And right before this, you need to get the Flutter SDK. That stands for Software Development Kit. Software Development Kit, right? So these are the three things that you need to get started, right? And I think that's pretty much it. So this one I ran Flutter Doctor, and you guys saw it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to exit from this terminal window. I'll close this one. I will try to open Android Studio. Yeah. I'll try to open Android Studio. Now it's going to load my Flutter project. This is something that I've been doing. I think I'll go to File. I'll go to New. So just click on New Flutter Project, right? So now let's see what's amazing here when you click on New Flutter Project. So now this is the path, right? The SDK, the software development kit path of Flutter in my own machine, but in yours, it's going to be different, right? Especially when you're on Windows, it's going to be C:// something. Yeah, but you will have to update the path, okay? And you also need to make sure you come here on Dart and see also the Dart path, because these are the two things that we're going to be using, okay? Dart and Flutter. So I'll click on Next. Yeah, we will name our project. We will call it just a test, okay? Let's say a test app, right? No, not mine, but our app, because it's all of us. Our app, and you will see the project location. It's going to be in like this tilde means like the path to your home directory. Okay, then slash the studio project folder, and inside that folder there is our app folder that is going to be created there, which is like our Flutter project, which we are creating right now. And the description is just going to be a new Flutter project, but we can change it. Will be like, this is our sample project. Okay, project to get started with Flutter app development. Okay, Flutter app development basically. Then the project type is an application. You can do this. You can either, Flutter is very powerful. You can't. It's not just an application that you can build with Flutter. You can build a plugin, a package, a module, or even a skeleton sometimes. So now the language, Swift. You just have to, for Android, it's going to be Kotlin, because Kotlin is the main language for Android development, and for iOS, it's going to be Swift. I mean, that's also the supported language, right? And some people also use Java for Android development, and some people also use like Objective-C for iOS development. But in this case, it's just going to be the Dart language through which you can generate a multi-platform application. So you can see that by default, we have Android and iOS that are selected. Okay, great. Now you can see here Linux, which I can select right now, and Mac OS. That's if you want to build, desktop applications. And you can also select like web if you want to get a website out of your Flutter project. So it's just going to be a single code base out of which you will get your Android application, your iOS application, and also your web application, or let me call it your website. Now, if you also need to get like a desktop application, which is going to be on Linux and on Windows and on Mac OS, you have to check these ones, right? So that's it. I think this is okay. Our app, the module name, and this is the path, and so on. So we have to click on finish. Cannot save settings, invalid module name. Our app must be a valid package, lowercase. Oh yeah. All right. So it's sort of case sensitive. Let's say test app. Okay, yeah, test. Okay. So we'll click on finish. Conflict. Oh yeah, because there is something in Flutter that is called test. It's just like in your programming languages, you cannot use a keyword to name a variable, right? So the same thing happens here. So we'll say test app. Okay. And this one is okay. And we just have to wait for our Flutter project to be created. So we have to wait for the Flutter project that is getting created here. As you guys can see, it's creating our Flutter project. We just have to wait for it. It says to open this project. So I'm going to open it in a new window so I don't compromise the one that I've been doing so far. Great. All right, so now it's loading our project, as you can see here from the cursor. So the first page it's going to load is your readme.md, right? Readme.md is something you're going to see a lot when you get into the world of open source software development or contribution, because the readme.md file gives a complete description of how to run the app, for example, right? ID error occurred, see details and submit a report. Okay. Is it? Just report to Google. Very simple. So this is our first, very first Flutter application, which we just created, and you guys could see that we selected Android, we selected iOS, we selected web, and you could see the option of Linux and Windows and Mac OS, which means you just have this single code base that helps you, deploy applications on all other platforms. Awesome. So now let's go through the subdirectories, okay, the subfolders in Windows of our Flutter project, okay, directory or folder. So you can see this Android that is here. So when you double click on this, this is where you would be writing everything Android related, okay, in your Flutter project. And you can see the iOS because we selected iOS also. So these are the folders or the directories where you're going to be, doing everything iOS related. These are things we're going to get into tomorrow. So just make sure you don't miss tomorrow, because tomorrow is going to be, a hot day to write our first Flutter application, and you guys will see it's amazing. It's really amazing, to be honest. Now, for the website or for the web, you can just double click on this one, and you will see it. You have the index.html file. If you have ever built a website before, you know what index.html file is, and you have some icons. These are some assets that you will load into your website or your web application, for example. So basically, these are it. And we have this readme.md file that is here. And this is pretty much important. This pubspec.yaml. So this is where you're going to be. Okay, pubget. These are things we'll get into tomorrow. I'm not gonna get into this right now. So there are some dependencies, right? Let's say you want to include probably, let me go through it. That's not gonna take a lot of time. So right here, no, pubdev. Yeah, pubdev, I guess, sorry. So you go to pubdev. So this is where you find the packages, right? Which is supported by Google, the official package repository for Dart and Flutter apps. Okay, so I would type, for example, Google Maps. I want to have the Google Maps API in my application. Like I want my application, let's say you are building Uber, an example of Uber or an example of Zomato, right? So you need Google Maps in your application. So let's say you want to include this Google Maps Flutter, for example, which is a Flutter plugin for integrating Google Maps in iOS and Android applications. So you click on this, right? And you have to read this. I'm not going to get into it. It's a README. The README is always the description of what that thing is, whether it's an app or a plugin or an API. Just come here and click on installing. Then, yeah, this is how you can install it. You just have to copy this command, which is flutter pub add Google Maps Flutter, okay? Or you can just copy this Google Maps, Google _maps _ Flutter. You copy this, which I'm going to copy, and I'll go into my into our test app project, and under dependencies, because it says that we have to load it under. So that basically, yeah, that's it. And what we have to do is to paste this Google _maps _ Flutter into our here under dependencies. So just right after this Flutter SDK, I'm going to, I think, have it here. Yeah, Google Maps Flutter. But after I do this, the next thing I have to do is just to come and click on pubget, right? This will install reference packages, which has not yet been done in this case in our application, okay? So I'll click on pubget. It will get everything. So you can see here that it's like some sort of, command line terminal or terminal tool where you will see Flutter pubget in test app. So it will get to download all the dependencies that we have, okay? So yeah, I hope by now, yeah, the process has been executed, and we can do Flutter Doctor to check if there is something wrong, but we don't need it as of now. Now, that was the first way to, to have, for example, the Google Maps API in our Flutter application. Or else, let's say we are using, geolocation. You can see that sometimes when you get into Uber or into the other apps, basically what happens is that you get your current location, right? So that package is, I think, geolocation or geolocator, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll go back to pub.dev again, and you have to check your geo location, I think. Sapas? So you have to click on this one. It says this is a Flutter plugin for location, geolocation, and also GPS, right? It supports iOS and Android and so on and so forth. So for this one, let's say I click on this, and we want it on our Flutter application. So now, rather than just what is this? Okay, on installing. So now, rather than just copying this API, line and going and pasting it into our pubspec.yaml file, what we can do here is to copy this command and go back into our application, this test app, and I'll click here on terminal, as you can see, right? So this will just emulate a new terminal here in my Flutter application, and I have to paste it and hit enter on my keyboard, and it's going to add the geolocation API to my application, for example, right? And okay, it's not only about dependencies, right? Let's say you have some, some development dependencies that you also want to add, and there are some, I think, like, let's say, okay, the assets, for example. Yeah, if you want to add assets, okay, they give you everything. I mean, like, it's powerful, right? So if you want to add assets to your application, okay, you have to add an asset section, like this. So you just need to uncomment, because this is commented. You just need to uncomment this one, and maybe you can just come here and type. Let's say we create here assets, for example. I'll just double click on this. See, it will tell me new and a new directory. We will call it assets, right? Okay, let's call them elements. Now our element has been created. Do I have an image that I can import here? Okay, so let me just go into my Finder. I think there is something that I can import here. Yeah, for example, this logo, I'll just drag and drop it here inside element. It's pretty much easy. You just drag and drop, okay? So now I'm just going to click on the refactor. Now, if I double click on elements, you can see that the logo helter has been added into this folder or into this directory, okay? So now the next thing, if you want to add this, for example, here, you just have to come here and type, I guess, dash, and then elements, you hit tab, and then slash, I think it's logo dash helter, helter.png, this dash required. I don't think so. So yeah, you have it added. Yeah, that's it. If you want to add assets to or elements to your application, basically, that's how it works. Now there are some other stuff that you add into this pubspec.yaml, which is really important. And as we get into Flutter Deep tomorrow, you get to know what this one is, and we will start with everything that we do with our Android application. We will try to add it into our iOS, which is right here, and also to the web. Okay, so that's how it is. And if you want to run, I think I already have an emulator, but if I start it right now, it's going to be very slow because I only have 4 GB. I only have 4 GB. Yeah, it's just a 4 GB. Yeah, 4 GB for the processor, so it's going to slow it down. So I'm not going to do it right now. We're gonna get into that one tomorrow, and it's almost 6 p.m. and it was from 4:30 to 6 p.m. 90 minutes, 1.5 hours. So I'll stop here. Tomorrow we will build an app, and you will see the app, and yeah, you also get started with everything. And we wish you a very great career in the field of cross-platform application development using Flutter, Firebase, and Google Cloud. So I'm going to be closing this one. If you guys have any questions, you can ask, or else you can join tomorrow with the next step. But make sure you go to the PPT that I just shared. I think it's still there. The PPT is here, I think. Okay, presentation. If you still don't have access to it, I'm going to paste it again. Can you allow us to download? Abdul, can you please check if you can download, because you're the one who asked about it.
Okay, let me try.
Yeah, give it a try. Yeah, you have all that it takes to get into this. So yeah, all the best to you all. And tomorrow at the same time, it's weekend. We don't have class. We may have assignments, but if you guys accelerate a little bit, you can really learn a lot before the official deadline, which is the 31st, which is in nearly 5 days. No, 6 days. Sorry. So you have 6 days to learn a lot, and to just start your career in this field of cross-platform application development. And there are a lot of industries and companies nowadays that need Flutter developers for real, because companies don't want to hire only Android developers and iOS developers and web developers. It's a lot of money. So if there is someone who knows Flutter, they would more preferably choose that person. So make sure you seize this opportunity because it's for free and you have all these amazing resources for free. I mean, just, use them. And yeah, Abdul, are you able to download it? I'm going to stop the sharing now.
I'm not able. I don't know what's wrong.
All right,
You will just share in the group and yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
all
not,
right.
I'm not even in the group. Can someone add me?
Yeah, okay, how did you get the information for this one then?
Someone give me the
All
link.
right, sure, perfect. I'm gonna be sharing it right now. Is there any question from any of the attendees?